Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a story most of us feel like we know inside and out, the creation story in Genesis. But what if it's not actually about the literal creation of the planet? What if it's a powerful, metaphorical map of the human mind? Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to start with just one famous verse, because hidden inside of it is a puzzle. It's a tiny little detail, but trust me, it unlocks a much, much bigger story. Here it is. Genesis 2:4. Now, on the surface, this just looks like a simple summary, right? But hiding in plain sight is a linguistic clue that pretty much changes everything. Did you see it? The order completely flips. It goes from heavens and the earth to earth and the heavens, all in the same sentence. Now, you have to understand, ancient writers were incredibly precise. This is no typo. It's a deliberate signal, a spotlight, telling us the story's focus is about to zoom way in on what this earth truly represents. So, to really solve this puzzle, we have to go back to the original language. There are a couple of key Hebrew words here that hold these really deep meanings that, well, they get a little flattened out in our modern translations. So this first word is toledot. Now, it's almost always translated as generations or history, but its literal root, what it really means, is something more like begettings. Think of family tree or a genealogy. So the verse is literally saying, this is the family tree of the heavens and the earth. Which, you have to admit, brings up a pretty wild question, right? I mean, how can the sky and the ground have a family tree? This is another huge clue that we are not reading a literal history book. We're reading a profound metaphor. And here's the second keyword, bara. We almost always read this as to create. But get this, some of the most ancient translations rendered it closer to become, or even to be born. And that connects perfectly with toledot, with that family tree idea. This story isn't just about something being made, it's about something being born, something that has a lineage. So if the text is really talking about the genealogy of the earth, it suddenly becomes clear that it's not just talking about physical dirt. The Hebrew text is actually way more specific. It's describing three distinct metaphorical states of land. And this is where you can see just how nuanced it is. First, you have haaretz, that's the whole earth, which metaphorically represents our total self, our entire mind. Then there's hasadeh, the field. That's the external, wild world of survival. And finally, and this is the important one, we have ha'adamah, the ground. This is our starting point, a barren, uncultivated inner state. So the crucial point here is this. When the text starts talking about tilling the ground and needing rain, it's not giving us agricultural advice. It's providing this incredibly sophisticated blueprint for our inner landscape. It's a guide to cultivating our own consciousness. And the story just keeps deepening this idea of our uncultivated mind, that ha'adamah state. It gives us another really powerful image for it, a mist rising up from the ground. Now, this mist is not a weather report. Think about it. It rises from the earth, from our own primal nature, not down from the heavens. It represents a mind that's clouded by self-interest and survival instincts. You know, when you're in that state, you can't see other people for who they are. You can only see them for how they might serve your own needs. It's the fog of a me-first consciousness. And then the text just makes the connection totally explicit. It says the first human, Adam, Adamapar, which means dust atom, is formed directly from this ha'adamah, from this primal, misty ground. A state of consciousness literally gives birth to a state of being. But, and this is so important, the story doesn't just leave us stuck there in that primal state. No, it immediately introduces a catalyst for change, a way to transform that barren, misty ground into a vibrant, fertile garden. And that catalyst is described as rain. Now, unlike the mist which rises up from below, this rain comes from Yahweh, from above. Metaphorically, this is a higher consciousness, a divine insider perspective that can penetrate our clouded, instinctive-driven minds and allows something new to grow. So you can see the whole journey laid out here. We all start in that primal state, the ha'adamah. Then comes the catalyst, that divine rain. This is what allows our mind to be completely reversioned, to be, born again. And what's the outcome? A total transformation from a life ruled by animal instinct to one that reflects what the text calls the image of God. So, what does this all mean when you put it together? If we read Genesis not as ancient history, but as this amazing metaphor for the mind, what's the ultimate takeaway here? Well, the ultimate takeaway is that the Garden of Eden story isn't just some ancient myth about a talking snake and a piece of fruit. It's a deeply sophisticated psychological and spiritual guide to human development. It's a map for the journey from a primal state of consciousness to a cultivated, enlightened one. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. I mean, if a story as foundational as Genesis is also a map for our own inner transformation, what other myths and stories are we only reading on the surface? What other profound truths are just hiding there, in plain sight, in the stories we thought we already knew?
에덴의 숨은 비밀을 풀어 땅과 하늘 순서 바뀐 위를 들어 바라는 내 음의 신비로움 때는 알식의 성장을 노래해 아래주차 대아담아로 완패한 맘 상징하네 야훼 비 내리면 영혼이 깨어나 흙에서 나단 말 지면에서